Welcome back to my channel. This is Keisha from At the PaperMint. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining. I don't have a lot of videos just yet, but I am going to try to share more and more with you over the coming weeks and months. So today, you're here because of this. These are gorgeous distress ink watercolor backgrounds, and I want to show you how to make these in today's tutorial. As you can see, I've already been using them. I use these as backgrounds to cards, or I can use them to cut out to use for die cuts. They're so fun, and I just wanted to make a stash. I made a stash for a particular project, and I just thought I'd make a bunch so that I could use them whenever I wanted to. So let's get started. Let's talk about supplies first. The first thing you need is your inks. And you can just do one like we're going to do today, or you can set aside an entire afternoon and do quite a few. Now, I think it took me about 2.5 hours one afternoon to do about 35 of these, but I'm a slow crafter. You guys may be a bit faster than me. The ink that I'm using is, of course, the Holtz Distress ink. And I'm using the Reinker bottle, which can come in quite handy for many things. And here, we're using the ink directly from the Reinker because this allows you to have very intense color. Now, if you prefer a more mellow looking background, you can actually use the ink pad. The beautiful thing about the ink pad is that it takes the ink that you have in the Reinker and it distributes it over the ink pad surface. And that kind of mellows things out. And when you press that onto the surface, that's how you're going to get your ink. So you can use the ink pad if you want something more mellow, or you can use the Reinker if you want a more intensely colored background. Totally up to you. The second thing that you need is, of course, paper. I'm using the Holtz Distress Watercolor Cardstock in 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is my preferred background size, so it just comes in handy, easy to store for me. So that's what I'm going to be using today. You'll note that this watercolor cardstock, love it because it's pure white, and it really allows you to see those bright, intense colors against this white background. Of course, if you prefer a different kind of tone to your backgrounds or your colors, you can use mixed media heavy cardstock or other cardstock of your choosing, just as long as it's one that is built to accept water. So for this one, I'm actually going to be using the smooth surface. This comes with a textured surface, and then it comes with a smooth surface. And I'm going to be using the smooth surface for today's technique. In addition to the paper, you're going to need water. And you'll need water to clean your brushes in a container. So I have my big cup of water here. And then you're going to need water in your dispress strayer. And a dispress strayer, depending on how you press it, you can either mist, or if you're pressing slowly, you can get water droplets. And we're going to be doing a bit of both. Of course, to move your, I need to stop saying of course, to move your ink around and your water around, you'll need a paintbrush. I wanted just a big fat paintbrush, and this is a watercolor paintbrush from Reinker. It's a 3/4 flat brush, which with the big surface of bristles, it is perfect for this particular technique, where you're really not focused on being careful. I think Reinker sells these paintbrushes in a pack of 6. You get 3 flat brushes and 3 round brushes, but we'll only be using the big flat brush today, so I'll set these other ones aside. And then, most importantly, you need a heat tool. So it doesn't matter, here I'm using a heat gun. It doesn't matter which particular brand, it's completely up to you. Whatever you have, I'm sure will be fine. A heat gun that is used for embossing gives a more intense heat, and I'm lazy and I wanted to do this quickly, or as quickly as I can. So I've used an embossing heat gun. You could also elect to use the Reinker heat tool, which gives a more gentle heat, and you're not in, hopefully not in danger of burning anything. You have to be careful with the embossing gun because this, because of the intense heat, you can burn your paper or roast your colors if you don't pay attention. So remember, Ranger heat tool, more gentle heat, embossing gun, more intense heat. And you'll notice I have some optional things on the table today, which I didn't mention just yet. One is Perfect Pearls, and it's just something I wanted to share with you, where you can add Perfect Pearls to water and use that to spritz your paper or to mix with your ink and potentially create a nice little sheen on your background if that's something you want to do. So just something to think about. Wanted to put it out there to you as an option. Saw that nice little trick from the fabulous Jennifer McGuire and thought I should mention it here. In addition to that, sometimes I like to experiment with color and just get a little bit of a sample going. So I add my reinkers to this little dish until I get the color that I desire, and then I put them on the actual craft mat. So just something for you to think about if you're thinking of creating a new color for yourself. Say you couldn't find one in the 60 inks from Distress Ink to suit your particular purpose. You could also mix colors to get your desired color. So something to think about. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to set these aside so we have a little space on our work surface and just focus on the essential tools. So first thing that we need is our paper. And we are going to start by just gently spritzing this paper. I just gave it 3 quick shots from the Distress sprayer. And that just gets the paper nice and moist. And look, I actually accidentally spritzed this on the textured side. I want it spritzed on actually the flat side. So I'm going to flip it over and do that again, but this time on the flat side, on the smooth side. So I have my Distress sprayer, and now you can see it because hopefully it's in camera. And you go 1, 2, 3, and you're done. So put that aside. And then now you're going to add your ink. And for today's demo, we are going to be working with cracked pistachio. The Reinkers come with this lovely little dropper so that you can easily control how much ink that you want on your surface. I'm putting 3 dots. And I think that will be good to get me started. If I decide I want the color more intense, I can always add later, but I think that's enough for now. I'm going to go ahead and get my paintbrush wet. And I think I will put this on screen so you can see me working with it. And then I'm going to get my paintbrush nice and wet. And then I'm going to simply swish this color around to give me a place to dab my ink into. So very technical approach there of swishing the color around. Now we've got that done. We're ready to start wetting our paper and adding ink to our paper, I should say. So I like to just dab it and pull up. Pull up again. I'm going to dab it again. I'm just trying to get ink all over the paper. Because I'm creating a completely colored surface, I want to get it right to the edges. So you're going to see me dab and pick that up until I'm satisfied that I've got enough ink on this first go around. As you see, it's pretty messy looking, but that's the way I want. And I even take my finger and get in there and just dab it on. I think I've got an eyelash there. Great. Well, we'll get that off. But now we're ready for a heat tool, and we're going to dry. Now you can put this down on your surface to dry it. There you go. You don't have to get it super dry, but that is a start. And there you go. And that's nice, but I want to add some more water, some more ink, and I'm going to go ahead and put on some more color so I get some of those nice little variations and gradations of color in my surface. Okay. I'm going to do that one more time. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to heat it again. I'm moving my gun around. I would generally, if I were just doing embossing, I wouldn't move the heat gun around as much, but I'm trying not to burn my paper or roast my color. So here we've got our start, and now this is where we're going to start creating more texture by adding water. And I'm going to add water using the Distress Ink Sprayer, and I can accomplish that by, I'm going to hold this up so you can see it a bit better, just gently squirting. And by giving it a gentle squirt, it will create droplets on my paper. And I'm looking to where I don't have droplets and then adding them. I'm going to let that sit for a moment. I'm going to heat it up. And as you see, I've now created some droplets in different sections of the paper. Some of my droplets are not even completely dry yet, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to go in and add some more droplets. And I'm spritzing again, just very gently lets those droplets come out. Getting a combination of tiny droplets and big fat ones, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to let that sit for just a second and have a chance to soak into the watercolor cardstock, and then I'm going to heat again. Okay, turn my heat off, and I'm actually going to move my Reinkers aside because I'm going to spray the matte, the craft matte right now, because I want to pick up some more of that ink that I've got there. And I'm going to heat this again. There's a bit of a stubborn droplet right here that I'm working on. Yep, there we go. And if it ever has too much water and you just don't want that much water, just pick it up with a rag and you're all set. that looks pretty decent, but I think we can do just a little bit better. So I'm going to dip it back in to my color again that's remaining on my mat. And I may or may not be happy with how this turns out, but I don't want to waste my color. And I got a couple more pieces there that I can still grab. I'm liking that, so I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to give it one more round with the sprayer, just to get some more drops on there. And then I think we will be done with this one. So as you can see, this is a technique for those of us who are patient. I can't claim that I'm always very patient, but hopefully you'll enjoy the results and give this a go on a lazy afternoon. I'm going to move this out of frame and then heat it with the heat gun one more time for you. Okay. And guys, I think we are just about done. So I think I like how this looks. I hope you do too. It's still not 100% dry. As you see, some areas up over here are still a little wet, but I don't always fully dry it with the heat gun. Sometimes I'll just set it aside while I work on my next color and let it dry naturally. And I think that gives an interesting result as well. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial and it was helpful to you, and you'll get started making your own rainbow of distress ink backgrounds at some point in time. So thank you everyone, and remember to subscribe. I will do more tutorials and fun stuff hopefully in the coming weeks if you like what I'm getting up to. Thank you. Bye-bye.